Welcome back into Fox 5 Weekend Live. I'm Julie Donaldson. Glad to have you here with us. I have Hortensia Torres. She's the managing partner and CEO of Global Group and a tax attorney. Thanks so much for coming in today and joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Okay, so this is a time of year where everybody gets very stressed, right?
I know. Because they live for the last minute.
Yes. Well, why do you think it is that so many people, for one thing, because tax deadline is coming up on April 15th. If you've not done your taxes, you've just got a few days left to do that. So that's coming up. Why do you think it is that people wait so long until the last minute?
Because it's scary. Because it's human nature. We are bound by fear or pleasure, and it's fearful for a lot of people to have to file their taxes. They don't know if they're gonna owe, and then they don't know if they're gonna get a refund. Although some people that are gonna get refunds still leave it for the last minute. I don't know. It's just human nature.
Yeah. So the refunds this year, people keep saying that they're getting a little bit more than in the past. What is going into that, and what's the leading cause for that?
Well, there are a lot of changes with the Big Beautiful Bill. The Big Beautiful Bill made a big difference. So this is a year that is going to be impactful for a lot of people, because in July, when they passed the bill, it made a lot of the TCJA rules permanent, okay? Like, for example, the 15 million estate deduction, the child tax credit. It also brought a lot of new laws, like the senior deduction, the additional $6,000 for senior, the 10,000 interest loan deduction for cars if you purchase a car made in America, so that's really cool. Also the overtime and tips credits, and then people are getting bigger refunds because also the SALT, the state and local tax deduction, is huge because it was raised from 10,000 to 40,000. And of course it has phase outs depending on your adjusted gross income, but it's helping a lot of people get a bigger refund, because now when you itemize, you can get a bigger tax allowance for your property taxes, real estate taxes, and your withholding taxes that people couldn't get in the past.
So it sounds like already they're like a lot. Like I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm overwhelmed. This is why a lot of people might put off doing their taxes and push them back a little bit. So what do you say to somebody who doesn't know everything that's in the Big Beautiful Bill? They don't know all of that. What's the best way to make sure that they're going to take advantage of what's out there to really help them out?
Well, don't rush. It's already April 10th, so it's only 5 days left. If you haven't filed and you don't have all your documents together, it's better to file an extension. But the extension doesn't give you, more time to. I want people to see the extension as just more time to gather your documentation and to get everything together, not a time to relax. Because people file the extension and they say, oh, okay, I have until October, so they get all the summer to relax, and that is stressful for the tax preparers too. Because if you come to a tax preparer on October 14, and the deadline is October 15, they're human. They can make mistakes. So you have to be very careful and very thorough with your documentation, because also a lot of people are rushing and to take advantage of the overtime deduction and the tips deductions. It has to be in your W-2s. So if you haven't gathered all your documents and you're not sure about what is going to benefit you from the Big Beautiful Bill, wait. File an extension and try to get everything together. Try to get advice from tax pros, Make sure that they know what they're doing, because there's a lot of people out there that hang a sign and say, I'm a tax preparer, and they're just harming the public. But if you have somebody good that is informed about the law and the changes, go for it. File an extension. You can do it yourself. It's an automatic extension, filing the Form 4868, and they will give you 6 more time. It's an automatic extension. It's not that they're going to deny it. You're going to get it.
There's probably quite a few people that are going to have to, at this point, if they haven't done them, more than likely, you might be needing to file an extension. But you're saying that a lot of people, if they rush, they might make mistakes. And if you have the wrong person, it can be very harmful.
It can be very harmful.
So what is that level of risk of getting it wrong, doing it wrong, making that mistake, that would say we really need to pause and make sure we get this right?
Yeah, I think my advice is accuracy over speed. Okay, if you already waited until today, you're better off waiting a little more and finding the right person. And we are in an information era in which you can find out about people. You can Google me and see if I really am an attorney. You can see the credentials of the people that are claiming to know what they're doing. So take your time and make a right decision and file your taxes the right way, the most accurate way, because sometimes people, for rushing, miss a document. Oh, they miss the 1099B where they have their stocks. They miss one W-2. And that can cause an audit. And nobody wants to be audited.
No, they don't. Look, there's also when it comes to kind of like inflation and rising prices, and people are like really stressed financially. How does that maybe factor into what they're trying to do with taxes? Does it?
Well, it factors because, inflation and financial burden can put sorry for the redundancy, a burden in people's lives.
Because if they have to pay and they owe money, they might not have it.
That is correct. And if they owe money, it gives you an added stress, which is maybe why people procrastinate, because it's painful. And the human behavior is geared by seek pleasure, avoid pain. So if something is painful, you don't want to do it. And taxes can be painful. And if you owe money and you don't know what to do, well, find an expert that can help you. The IRS webpage, believe it or not, has a lot of guidance. And if you owe, you might be able to set up a payment plan. If you are in a hardship state, you can even go in non-collectible status. A lot of people don't know that. And also, you can do a 180 days plan if you owe more than $50,000. If you owe less, you can do a streamlined payment plan. So there are resources. And if you can demonstrate hardship, the IRS will work with you, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think some people might not believe that. They always think the IRS is like the big bad guy out there,
right?
Well,
I always say that when I went to school, I went to school originally to do a master's in human rights, and I ended up doing a master's in international and domestic taxation. And then people say, that's no human rights, and I say, yes, it is. And defending people from the evilness of the Internal Revenue Code. But and the stress, taxes are complex. They're stressful. People are afraid. But you can work around it, and if you get the right people to help you, you're gonna be fine.
Okay, Hortensia Torres, thank you so much. One of the right people to help you through this very stressful time. I think people are already weighed down, and now knowing that this deadline's looming, it tends to be a day that most people dread. But I think the biggest advice come from this is make sure you get it right. You have all your paperwork, and if you haven't filed by now and you don't have it all together, just get that extension.
Just get that extension.
But don't sit back and...
Don't relax and forget about it until October 10, please.
Hortensia, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your wisdom. We have more to get to here on Fox 5 Weekend Live.